Hello and welcome to another episode of Webinar Wednesday. Today we are going to be introducing you to somebody who can help you get your money back from Amazon. How cool is that? Hi guys. Hi Margaret, Kevin, Yoni. How you guys doing?
Fantastic, Manuel. Great to be here.
We're
Great,
good.
thanks,
Sunny
Manuel.
Melbourne today or Geelong.
Yep.
Well, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but we had, I think since I got here 13 years, the largest amount of snow I've ever seen in this area, New Jersey, New York. It's like in
Wow.
centimeters, is like, I think it's over a meter or something. It was just, like a blanket of snow.
Oh,
So
wow.
I do envy the sun. If you can send some sun, I'll appreciate it. FedEx it.
We'd
Oh,
love
it's
to.
24 or something here today. It's very pleasant.
Oh, unbelievable. Very nice.
Beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, it's always sunny here in Singapore. So yeah, come down here.
Can't wait. I really, truly can't wait. Hopefully I get vaccinated and I'll come to the east and rampage.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely.
That'd be great.
Okay, so Yoni, you are coming back to the show because we had some technical issues when you were on the previous VIS show. So first of all, thanks a lot to GETIDA for partnering with VIS and sponsoring VIS. And you have some slides to share with us to tell people basically how you can help them get money back from Amazon. So do you want to go ahead and share your slides? Let's get started.
Yep, sure thing. Thank you so much. So I apologize for the first attempt on Thursday with the gods of the internet were not agreeing with us. So I prayed the whole weekend. So hopefully we'll have a better experience this time. Yeah. All right. So you guys can see well, hear well?
Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So I guess without further ado, we'll jump right into the heart of it. This presentation is really going to focus quickly, not too heavily, on how to get more money or value from your Amazon FBA business. So a little bit about ourselves. What is GETIDA? Is it GETIDA? Is it GETIDA? It doesn't really matter. It's an acronym. It stands for Get IDA, which stands for Get Intelligent Data Analytics. Essentially, we're a technology company, and our claim to fame is our solution and our ability to help Amazon sellers get the maximum Amazon FBA reimbursements that they're eligible to get. We consider ourselves a global leader in FBA auditing and reimbursements, for the simple fact that we can audit any type of Amazon account. So if you sell on Amazon US, Canada, Amazon Mexico, Amazon UK, Amazon Germany, whatever it is, we can give you, our solution. We can help you out. Also, we are an award-winning business. We won the Gold Award from the American Business Award for our dashboard technology. Also, we have a dedicated team of claim specialists, and a large part of our team are ex-Amazon employees who used to work in the Amazon FBA reimbursements department. So we know what we're looking for, how to present issues, how to handle the cases, and all the back and forth elements with Amazon. We actually track and monitor our recovery rate. Currently, it stands about 70% plus. So for every 10 cases that we're going to open on your behalf to ask for a reimbursement, more than 7 cases should get approved. So high accuracy level is very important to us. Also, we like to make our solutions affordable for sellers of all size and at any stage because it's free to join. It doesn't cost a penny. There's no commitment. You can cancel at any time. We only charge a fee from the recovery. It's a model that we call PPR, which is pay per recovery only. So we charge 25%. So for example, we got you $100 back. It simply wasn't available before. Essentially, it's money back from the dead. 25% fee will be in turn $25. So it's affordable for any seller at any size and any stage. That's a little bit about us. And also, if you wonder where you can find us, you can find us at getida.com. And of course, more about India, sourcingtrip.com as well. You can find more stuff about sourcing in India. But you can also find us on the Amazon App Store, okay? Because we're an authorized solution provider by Amazon on Amazon Sell Essential. And this is kind of also a little tip here at the early beginning that I want you guys to consider, because Amazon has invested $14 billion into the App Store to vet solution providers, for Amazon sellers. So if you're looking for any kind of solution, for Amazon business, which is probably the most important business vehicle that you have, the App Store is a good place to start, because if you see them there, they're vetted and authorized by Amazon, and they have a double commitment: a commitment to you, the seller, but also a commitment to Amazon to hold up to their standards. Okay, the data policy, private policy, and the following. So that's a good place to start to look for solutions. All right. So now, once you have a little introduction and the context in mind, this is kind of the high level points that we're gonna touch. The purpose of this presentation is to kind of raise your awareness about the opportunities of Amazon, auditing and reimbursement. So we're gonna touch a few of the basic elements so you'll be familiar with it. And of course, if you're gonna take action, it's gonna reward you. You're gonna make money. And of course, if any of this is too much of a headache for anybody listening or watching or viewing this, there's solutions out there that help with this. It happens to be the GETIDA is one of them. So if you ever need help, we'll be happy to help. But this is pretty much what it's all about. So high level, you'll see that there's kind of rules to the game, right? So the first kind of element that we're going to touch is the Amazon FBA inbound shipments. When you ship your products into FBA, it's called inbound shipments. You have 9 months to recover anything that was kind of lost or any discrepancies. Side note, it's 9 months in the US and about 6 months in the UK. So different marketplaces sometimes have different time frames for recovery. Once your products are already inside the warehouse, right, Amazon's fulfillment centers, right, inside the centers, your products could get lost, damaged, destroyed, disappeared, or overcharged with fees. So for this type for lost and damaged units inside the warehouses, you got 18 months to look back. So you got a year and a half to dig back to the data, find all these discrepancies, and open claims and get that money back into your organization, to your business. Same thing, it goes for Amazon FBA consumer refunds and also Amazon FBA removal orders. So if you remove your units from the fulfillment center, you have 18 months to claim back any discrepancies. But nevertheless, for when and dimension fees when they charge you, overcharge you with fees, you have limited time. You have only 90 days, 3 months to take care of those. So this is high level for you guys to know, to understand the rules of the game for the most important types of issues. And now we're gonna kind of touch the first type of issue. That's kind of the most basic and entry level one. All right. So when you ship your product to FBA, they found shipping. Here we have an example of a shipment where you have all the ship. It's called the shipment log, FBA shipment log, and you see all the shipments. All the breakdown. So if you look closely, you'll see that here you have an example where 1,000 units were shipped and only 990 units were received. So once you ship all your shipments into FBA, you got to look at that. Kind of see, okay, on the left side is what I expected to ship or what I did ship, and on the right is what they actually received. So once you click on the left side here, on this blue area here, is going to open up the second part, which you'll see here more closely. See, you shipped 1,000 units. It's going to show you, and then located, Amazon actually received 990. The discrepancy, pretty straightforward, 10 units, minus 10 units. So what you need to do at that point, pretty simple. You click on this button here on these options, and you want to choose the missing dash, please research. Okay, and once you choose that and you click submit, it's going to show you that it's submitted, and then it's going to generate a case ID. Pay attention to the case IDs, because sometimes Amazon is going to ask you for more documentation, more information in order to approve your reimbursement. Right? They can ask you maybe for a proof of delivery, POD, BOL, bill of lading. So stay very attentive to that. And of course, when you made all your shipments especially for Q4, right, of 2020, a lot of shipments. Hopefully, a lot of inventory shipped in. Hopefully, you sold most of it, if not all of it. Look into these shipments. If there's any discrepancies, that there's opportunity for you to get paid for these lost units. Okay. Questions so far, Megla?
Yeah, it looks good. So, interested to find out how GETIDA helps claim all of these kind of things
So
back. But yeah, I'm sure you'll
yeah,
get to it
yeah,
later.
I'll get to towards the end. I wanna
Yeah,
so there's two components here. Of course, I wanted
yeah,
to raise the awareness, and anybody, I would encourage you to do the maximum you can do on your own. And then
yeah.
what we can do, we can work hand in hand. Whatever you leave behind, we're gonna come and get for you. We can also, of course, do everything for you. So it's per your convenience. Whatever you want us to do for you, we'll do for you. Okay, second type of headaches to look out for, I call it. This is when you reconcile all the FBA loss and damage units. Okay, this is kind of the framework. This to show you how complex it might get. So you can try to do it by all means, but of course we can help you with this as well. Essentially, the claim window over here, it mentions that you have 18 months to deal with this. And then here they kind of lead you through the types of reports that you have to cross-reference in order to consider opening a case with Amazon and asking for reimbursement. Okay, so essentially, this is essentially what we do internally, but we don't do it like manually. We today have technology based, so we audit billions of dollars worth of transactions every day across our network. So we have dedicated technology that we build that took us years and millions of dollars. But if you're a seller, you're doing only a few hundred thousand, maybe a few million revenue, you can try to swing this on your own. But of course, there's help out there that can help you scale this. All right, so essentially, you want to check your inventory adjustment report. You grab the report, inventory adjustment, and you look for the codes that are represent the damage and lost units. So that's your first layer of scanning, of auditing. The second layer will be to look at manage FBA inventory report, okay, to make sure that there's no entries of units being basically found, because essentially the first report will tell you what got lost or damaged, right? and then the second report type will show you, oh, these units got actually found, and that's kind of the second layer. So of course, if you find that something got lost or damaged in the second report, there's no other data, it doesn't show that it ever got found. Okay, so it's like a filtering system where you realize, okay, there's still an issue, there's still a deficit, a minus, I got to keep digging. So the last point to dig will be the reimbursement report. They're going to tell you, okay, now that there's this unit that got lost and never got found, look into the reimbursement report to see if we already reimbursed you. If we already reimbursed you, you're good to go. If we haven't, then after all this filtering, it means you have eligibility to open a case with us and get a recovery for this lost unit. So I dumb it down, but this goes down for every single unit that you ship into the fulfillment center that you got to track and monitor. That's what we kind of do internally with our technology. And of course, when you find that after all the filtering and the auditing, you have a deficit, you have a minus, you open a case with Amazon, and then you click on the contact us page and you run with it. Okay, so that was all that first part of the presentation was how to essentially deal with reimbursements, and just a few of them, not all of them. I didn't want to, because it can be very overwhelming. Now we're going to touch the second part of the presentation, which is what can you do operationally regarding Amazon fees, right? So in order for us to minimize fees and make more profit and get more value out of the FBA business, right now we're going to touch a little case study of recognizing the type of fees that Amazon charges the sellers. So this is on Sell Essential. This is the page which every seller should know, because this is the page that's showing you kind of the summary of what's going on. So all the blue represents the income, right? For the most part, you'll see the product charges, all the revenue generated. For this particular account, it's a $5 million account, doing $220,000 every 2 weeks. That's $440,000 every month. That's about $5 million a year. So all the blue represents the income, and then all the red represents all of the fees. Okay, and Amazon makes it very vague, conveniently vague for sellers to understand what's going on. So if you look over here, you'll see that Amazon, it tells you this thick area here is Amazon fees. Okay, so if you think of Amazon fees, you don't know if it's FBA fees or not FBA fees, because above here it tells you FBA fees, but it looks very, very thin. So I'm here to help you kind of take away the smoke screen and tell you what's going on behind the numbers. So we did this work for you, and we extracted the information. So for Amazon fees type A, for the Amazon fees, we extracted that, and we discovered that from the 77,000 in all Amazon fees, there's fees type A that are equal to $43,000. So fees type A, for which is $43,000, which is a massive amount, which is about 20% from 219,000. So 20% that we're paying these type of fees, and these type of fees, fees type A, are the fees of the pick and pack fees. Every time Amazon picks a unit from the bin, they package in a box and they ship it out. They charge a fee for that. It's called pick and pack fees. And it's the heavyweight champion of fees for all Amazon sellers. Okay, Amazon FBA sellers, I should mention. And the second type of fees, which is FBA fees, is 496. So if you kind of look at this page, you figure FBA fees, I don't really have anything to worry about, because I'm only paying $496, which is less than 1%. Well, where with Amazon fees, I'm paying so much, but it's actually hiding inside. There's Amazon FBA fees. So the purpose here is to kind of give you the breakdown and make you more familiar with what's going on and the weight of FBA, of the fees. Okay, here's a kind of a quick summary of that. FBA fees type A, which is pick and pack fees, right? FBA fees type B, which is all the rest of the fees. Together is about 20%. And let's not forget, there's still Amazon selling fees. And for this particular account, it's 15%. So add them all together, you see that 35% of all the sellers' revenue are paid in Amazon fees, which are burning like fire through the margins, right? Because if you sell them $5 million and you pay 35% in fees, you are paying Amazon $1.75 million in fees. All right, so now that I encourage every seller to do this calculation to see how much they're paying in fees. And now that you know, or for this case study, that 35% are paid in Amazon fees, and a lot of them are in FBA fees, the mission here is, after recognizing them and acknowledging them, what can be done to lower them? So this 35% becomes 34, 33, 32, and lower, because every percent that you'll save will save you on actual money, and that will go into your pocket. All right, it's going to boost your profits, your bottom line. So that's kind of the idea here.
And this, of course, does not include PPC costs, right? I mean, this is just Amazon
has
fees.
nothing to do. Yeah, this is before advertising. Absolutely, you're correct. Okay. Advertising will influence this even more. If your ACoS is, I don't know, 20%, you'll add like 20%. So Amazon will actually have 55% of all the revenue. So that's a very good point, Megla. I should probably add that somewhere as a notice. So hopefully the next version of the slide will be much more enhanced. So appreciate that. But yeah, fees, cost of doing business on Amazon are becoming more elevated by the second. So you have to recognize each type of them and try to really always hone in on reducing them and staying profitable, so you can survive over time and stay successful. All right, so now that we recognize that the king of all FBA fees at this point are pick and pack fees, this gives birth to opportunities. Okay, and the first opportunity is by creating your packages that you ship to FBA to make them smaller, lighter, and smarter. And why? Because the amount that you're going to pay in pick and pack fees to Amazon are determined by the weight and dimension of your product. So the larger and heavier Amazon believes your product is to be, the larger your fees that you're going to pay. So for example, this is the product that you're trying to sell. This is a phone cover. It's less than 10 inches, less than a pound. Let's try to use centimeters on the other part of the world. If it's less than 10 centimeters and less than 1 kilo, it can be like $2.50 every time they pick the unit from the bin, package in a box, and ship it out. But if Amazon believes that your product is much larger and it's 1 meter and 100 kilo, they might charge you $10 per unit for the pick and pack fee. So the larger and heavier they think it is, the more you're going to pay. So that's why there's opportunity to save. All right. So here we're gonna have a simple example just to illustrate the opportunity. If you have a seller that's sending an inflated ball, right, on the left here, which can maybe the inflated ball can make it 20 centimeters, 20 inches in dimensions, while another seller might be sending the ball which is deflated, like this nice gentleman here that's squeezing the ball and making the dimension much lower. It can be maybe 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, or 3-4 inches. So the difference between this ball, this way of shipping the ball in and storing it and fulfilling it on Amazon, and this one will be tremendously different, right? This can be maybe $10 every time it's picked and packed, and this squeeze ball, which is much lighter and smaller in dimensions, could be $2.50. So it's going to be $7.50 of a distance on the pick and pack fees. Same thing goes with these pants. If you just send it all loose, and Amazon thinks that dimensions are really long, it could be a meter and a half, or I don't know, 30, 40, 50 inches, and in the United States, it's better to roll it up, put it in a shrink wrap, right? So it goes to the very bare minimum of dimensions. So this is very fundamental, very basic, but it does tremendously well for the sellers who look at the tiers of weight and dimensions, see where they sit on that tier, and if they see there's opportunity to reduce a little bit either the weight or the dimension through working on the packaging and saving, I can't even stress how much money you're going to save going forward. It's going to boost your profitability. Now, especially if you are a seller that you also have your factory maybe, or you have wholesale, you're selling to other brick and mortar stores. I want you to understand that when you sell your products on Amazon, you should probably consider different type of packaging, because two different worlds. The world of brick and mortar retail is the world where you have to create big, beautiful packaging that it's enticing the consumer to touch the product, put it in the cart, and cash it out. And right, so that's the kind of war of the shelves, where the product needs to be big so that you're pushing away other competitor on the shelf itself, right? But when you when you sell on Amazon, it's a different game. Your shelf when selling online is your listing. That is your opportunity. So that's when you will present your products beautifully with the pictures, the videos, enhanced brand content, the A+ content, your PPC campaign. That's how that's your digital shelf. That's how you entice the sellers to click on add to cart and buy the product, because once they did that, that's it. Item is sold. Once they receive the product, they don't really care about the packaging anymore. At that stage, only thing they care about is the utility of the product. So if they bought a toy, they want to play. If they bought a kitchen item, they want to cook. So keep that in mind. Know your weight and dimensions. See if there's opportunity for you to reduce it, create smaller and lighter packages, and you're going to save a fortune and you're going to boost your bottom lines. Okay, so once we touch the fundamentals of thinking small and lean, the second part will be essentially tracking the weight and dimensions to make sure that going forward there's no update on the information that is not in your favor, because it could be at times where the Amazon updates the information and something gets inflated. It can be maybe a seller who is maybe your competitor that is taking your ASIN, your product information, listing them on their Amazon account, never offering them, but when they list your ASIN, they inflate your weight and dimensions. They tell Amazon, oh, instead of 10 inches, it's 100 inches. Instead of 1 pound, it's 100 pounds. And just by doing that, Amazon will update the information and start overcharging you. That's why we have to keep track of this. Okay, so for your convenience, you can visit online.getida.com/ebook. You get access to our ebook, which is involved. I'm going to touch more about it later, but also you're going to get a whole suite of a pack of two more tools. One of them will be a weight and dimension tracker. It's an Excel file we can, have all your data there, download the data from Amazon and do the comparison. So you should probably compare this every 90 days, because the most amount of money that you're going to be able to recover will be limited to 90 days. And once, of course, if you find that Amazon is overcharging you, there's a discrepancy that is not in your favor, you got to achieve two things. First thing is update the data, so going forward, you stop the bleeding. And the second thing, ask for reimbursement to get all that money back that they overcharge you. But it's going to be limited to 90 days. So you got to do this religiously, at the very least, every 90 days. Of course, if you want to get access to Amazon's data like much quicker, you can just use our dashboard technology. It's free. Just visit GETIDA.com, click on free sign up. You're going to get access to our dashboard. And over here on the left side, you can click on pick and pack. You'll see Amazon's data already pre-populated over there. And just by reviewing the data and knowing your actual weight and dimensions, you'll be able to easily compare and then take action if you need independently. Or of course, if you want us to take care of this for you, you can upgrade to our our services. Once again, it's free to upgrade. It doesn't cost anything. We only charge a fee if we're successful in getting you reimbursements. Okay, and here's more free tools for Amazon sellers. Like I mentioned, you can visit online.getida.com/ebook. You'll get access to our ebook. The main topic here is how to read an Amazon income statement. I'm so privileged and happy that Megla, one of Megla's followers, has actually downloaded it and brought comments to our attention. And now, because of that, we're gonna update the book and make it more accurate. So I really truly appreciate that, Megla. I'm really impressed when an audience is actually engaging into the content and the value, and brings out feedback and enhances the experience for everybody. And the second thing is that you're going to get in this, along with the ebook, you're going to get a tracker for, a profit and loss template. So you can use it for not just calculating all the Amazon fees. You can calculate your entire business fees and actually know, how much you're doing in profit or losing, God forbid, but also know the percentage. Because my mission here, ambition is not just to, give you the tools to look into your FBA fees and get more out of your FBA business, but also helping you on the business level to see it can actually give you a tool so you can track and monitor your profitability over time after you've taken, the actions that we present and suggested here to take. And like I mentioned earlier, you have the weight and dimension tracker. So all this is available just by visiting here and downloading, the suite of tools in the ebook. Okay, so here we're getting kind of to the bread and butter of GETIDA and what we do, which we kind of touched earlier, which is the Amazon FBA reimbursements. So like I mentioned, you have for the most part about 18 months to go back. But a high level of statistics, we find that the discrepancy rate on a yearly level can range between 1% to 3%. So for example, if you're doing $1 million in Amazon FBA annual revenue, the discrepancy rate can range between 1% to 3%, okay, which is $10,000 to $30,000. Remember earlier we showed the FBA shipment, MBA shipment, where there was 1,000 units that were shipped and 990 units were received. So there's 10 units missing. Guess what? 1% out of 1,000 is actually 10 units. That's to show you that 1% to 3% is very, very viable. So 1% to 3% is available for you. Another way to look at it actually is that for every 100 units that you're going to ship to Amazon FBA, between 1 to 3 units might experience an issue along the life cycle of the product. It can be in the fulfillment centers when Amazon ships to the products to the consumers back to Amazon, which is refunds, returns, Amazon back to you. All these friction points, things happen. So you have 18 months to take it. And after 18 months, if you don't claim everything that you're eligible, it just expires and goes away. So why miss on the opportunity? Do not miss out. 3, like I mentioned, if Amazon is asking for more information, stay on it. Stay attentive to that. If you're wondering why you ever needed extra help or an extra hand with Amazon FBA auditing, here's a little, kind of a menu that you should look at. And if any of these types of issues look foreign to you and never heard of it before, it probably means that you're leaving money behind, because this is like the laundry list that we look at when checking all these accounts, that we audit for, and we help them with the reimbursements. So we can really take away the tears, from the pain of and agony of checking through all these things, and just put money back in your organization, back in your pocket, instead of letting it go to waste. That's kind of the value that we bring here, and alleviating the headaches that might be stored for you when engaging with auditing your account. All right, so here's the kind of a quick case study about the positive impacts of good, healthy auditing and reimbursements for your Amazon business. So here we have a case study of an $18 million seller who sold about 300,000 units a year, of which 9,000 units got affected from the whole variety of things that can go wrong, which puts it on the higher level of the spectrum, which is 2.8%. GETIDA was able to, from the 2.8 discrepancy, we were able to get back in reimbursement about 1.5%, which translated into $151,000 in, you know, in reimbursements. And this 151,000 boosted and increased the bottom lines by about 11%, 10.92%. You see that? And because before GETIDA, the gross profit was 1.3 million, and we added 151,000, and that boosted the bottom line by about 11%. Okay, so this is kind of the impact of positive auditing. But if you want to sell your Amazon business, there's more impacts, positive impacts. Actually, it helps you. You know, it might be a 3 to 4 to even 5x impact when you try to sell your Amazon business. Why? Because anybody that's buying your Amazon business is buying your profits, and they're going to pay you a multiple for that profit. So this $151,000, all of a sudden, if somebody's trying to buy your business, is worth to you, the seller, $450,000 or 600, much more, 3, 4, 5x how much you're able to really negotiate the exit for. So that's really, really powerful. And also, if you bought an Amazon business, right, you're into buying Amazon businesses, you're going to be able to go back 18 months and all the claims, all the issues that the prior sellers just left behind, you're going to be able to recover that. So imagine you bought this account and you're able to get back 151,000. It just improves your return investment much, much quicker than you have anticipated. So it depends on the hat that you're wearing, either the hat of the seller or the hat of the buyer of the Amazon business. There's more opportunity stored over there. And of course, if somebody needs extra incentive to give us a shot, try it out. We prepared an offer for you. You can just visit online.getida.com/BISS400. And the first, you can join GETIDA. It's free to join once again. But the first $400 that we're going to recover for you in Amazon FBA reimbursements will be absolutely free. We're not going to charge you a penny. So after we got you $400, if you like what we do, you appreciate it, you want to stay, by all means. But if after you got your $400 you want to leave, that's fine as well. Our purpose is really to help you get the maximum that you're eligible to get. And by you getting all this money back into your organization, hopefully keep growing and empowering your business. You can focus more on your next sourcing, your next product launch, your next marketing campaign, whatever it is that you need to do to keep the fuel of growth into your business. Because if you don't really get the maximum that you're eligible to get from Amazon with FBA reimbursements, you're kind of losing twice. The first thing you're losing is your money, the investment that you put into the product. But the second thing you're losing is your profit. And why? Because Amazon, in this condition, it's really, really nice. When they pay you a reimbursement, they're paying you as if you sold your item on Amazon. Okay, you're not getting your cost back, you're getting the retail back. So this helps you convert a double negative momentum into a double positive momentum where you're getting your money out and all your profit. So that's our mission, making sure you're getting the maximum so you get your money back plus all the profit, and you keep pushing forward. So essentially, every seller needs to really focus forward, right? March on to the future and what's going to be the next thing for them and how to continue growing. While we GETIDA in the back end, we're like archaeologists. We have our little toothbrushes when we're always kind of in the sand, dusting the sand. And when we find these golden nuggets, only when we find it, that's when we get also rewarded. That's when we only keep, a fee, and the rest goes to the seller. And that's what makes it very, very flexible and convenient. And we're able to help really any seller at any size. That's it. This is kind of the main idea here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out directly. It's YoniM@getida.com, or just visit our website, getida.com. We have a friendly team. There's a chat box. That's it. I hope I helped you guys understand a bit more about the opportunity that's available to you. I hope you take action on it and put more money in your pocket. And of course, if you need help, we're here to help as well. That's it. I hope I did everything in 30 minutes like I prepared to do so.
Yeah, that was really good. I mean, I knew about GETIDA and how you help sellers and everything, but I didn't realize that it's so impactful, right? I mean, you can actually help bring back so much. And Margaret, Kevin, you guys have been using GETIDA for quite a few years now, right?
Yeah,
What is
couple of
your
years,
experience?
yeah.
How many dollars have you gotten back over the years?
Oh, look, I couldn't count, but I mean, I know when we first joined and they went back for 18 months, we did, like it was huge. And I mean, I do a little bit of work myself, but they always find something. Just about every month I get something back. It might be, $20, it might be $100. It just depends, on
so I think over the years we got them a few $1,000s back, and here we have a perfect example where Margaret and Kevin, we work hand in hand with them. So whatever they know how to do and get on their own, by all means keep getting it. We don't want any part of that. But whatever you're leaving behind, that's when we kick in and we bring it back to you. And only if we're successful, that's when we get our fees. Pretty much, it's a great combination.
Well, it's a no-brainer, because to me, if you didn't do that for me, I'd have nothing. So all that money would be just gone. So, it's not that you've got to sign up for something and pay every month and not use it, because you're not paying out until they recover. And, I mean, if they find you $400 and you get back, 300 of that, wow, that's pretty good.
So,
Yeah, I always get money back from the dead. It's always very fun to get money back from the dead you never expected. And hopefully you can continue investing in yourself in the business. Or the worst case, you buy yourself something nice. It could be shoes, it could be a car. It depends on the scale. Because some sellers, if you do, let's say we have some sellers who do $100 million a year, 1 to 3%, we can get them between $1 million or more a year, and it's really impactful. So they can pay bonuses. There's really sometimes we find tremendous success stories in which we're really impactful in helping an organization, fulfilling their economical goals.
Yeah. Well, Kelly is here. Hi, Kelly. And Yoni, Kelly is the seller who actually read your book and gave the feedback. So thanks, Kelly, for your feedback.
Yeah, it's in motion. Today I had a team meeting and I was getting, updates on the progress, and it's being revised, and hopefully very, very soon we'll have the 2021 edition. This was 2020 and now it's 2021. So I really do appreciate your input on this, Kelly.
Awesome. Zara says, hi, Trish. Wow, sensational. Thank you, Yoni. I joined last week. Can I still get the VIS 400
absolutely.
retention?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Please. You got to do the one under it.
Yeah, just shoot us an email. We'll shoot. Yeah, give us your information. We'll add the credits, the $400 credits for sure. If you're part of the India sourcing show and group, for sure, it will be our pleasure to indulge you. I signed up and downloaded the book. Look forward to reading it. Cheers. Thank you so much.
Okay. Drum rolls for Megla. Oh, thank you. Drum rolls for Yoni for getting your money back. Okay, so Sastro has this question. I see that Amazon makes an improvement on the refund process. Do seller can have a hidden reimbursement from Amazon? Also, Amazon reimburse with product reimbursement. How does if I have a new to FBA product? If the product is new.
The few questions. One, let's try to break it down. Let me see that again. I think there's 2 or 3 questions here. Amazon makes improvement on refund process. Do seller can have a hidden reimbursement from Amazon? I guess what I understand from this, yeah. So Amazon will automatically reimburse you for whatever they find, which is great. But they need about 30 days for that. After 30 days, if you look into their terms of service, they tell you that you, the seller, have to inspect them and audit them. And if anything that they left behind, it's your responsibility to open a case and ask for reimbursements. And that is when we come in. We always come in after Amazon. We give it the time, space that they need, and we come afterwards. Just to clarify on that. So anything that comes automatically from Amazon, we don't touch that. And if you're asking if it's a hidden reimbursement, it's probably what you mean is anything that comes afterward that's being left behind. Yes, the answer is yes. Also, Amazon reimburses with product reimbursement. How is it possible? How does if I have a new to FBA product? I don't know. So sometimes very, very little. Just we see statistically that instead of giving you cash, they might give you an inventory. It can happen maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe 5% of the time, but 95% plus they'll give you cash. So it's almost immaterial. But if they're able to somehow source or replace the product, it's better to ask them what it is. But nevertheless, on the GETIDA, once you join, you're going to see on the dashboard level, we're going to show you what's being paid in cash and what's being paid in inventory. If you need the cases that got paid in inventory, you can then follow up with Amazon and ask them, how is this possible? If I just started selling this product, you never had it in the platform before, how can you be paying me back in inventory? That will probably be a very good question to ask.
Okay, that's very helpful. Okay, so guys, any last questions for Yoni before we let him go over here?
By the way, for me, it's a Tuesday webinar,
Yeah, it's Tuesday webinar.
Tuesday night webinar where you guys are on the advanced side of the world, where you guys are always ahead of us.
Yeah, we're from the future.
Yeah, talking to us from the future. Very true.
Awesome. Okay, looks like there are no questions so far. So Yoni, thanks a lot for coming back again and sharing all of this information with us. And guys, this is a no-brainer. You've got to sign up for GETIDA. If you're selling on Amazon, there's no point leaving money on the table and giving Jeff more money for his retirement. I mean, he's anyways leaving his job now.
Yeah, big news today. Big news today in the marketplace for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Yoni, so thank you very much, and we'll see you around in the group. And you have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys. Thanks again.
Thanks, Yoni.
Bye-bye.
Okay, cool. That was really good. I think it's just a no-brainer to sign up for GETIDA if you're selling on Amazon. Totally makes sense. Okay, so let's move on to our next session now. So we have Verity Sowell who's joining us. Hi, Verity. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm good. I'm
Hello.
good. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so Verity also has some slides. And Verity, you're going to be talking a little bit about the mistakes that sellers make with their listings. And I really liked how, Yoni said that this is your digital shelf, right? Your listing is your digital shelf. Did you hear that? It was
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
interesting.
good way to put it.
Yeah, really good way to put it. And it's really true. I mean, that's the most important thing that you have to showcase your products. So Verity, do you mind sharing your screen again? I think
Yes,
I lost the window
absolutely.
here. Yeah.
So let me share my screen and we will get into the slides. So hopefully this will just give me 2 seconds and we'll put it on the full PowerPoint so we can have a look. All right.
Okay.
So I thought it would be
Yep.
good. We've been talking about lots of optimization things, and you've probably seen me in the group discussing bits and pieces on what's been going on. So this is a great opportunity for me to come on board and talk about some things that I see happen. And like we just said, in your digital shelf. So somewhere that you can present your beautiful products. And what are some of the common mistakes that happen with listings? And I'd like to just kind of start by saying I have been where everyone else has been. I started back in 2012 when I didn't know anything. And I still really remember creating my first product listing. It was not the greatest. But, you learn so much as you go along. And I guess it's a great opportunity for me to come and teach you what I've learned along the way. And I've worked with hundreds of clients looking at just so many listings, what works, what doesn't work. And there's a lot to cover. But these are some of the things that I see come up. And so I thought, this is a great chance for us to go through that. And if there are any questions that come up, please put that in and we can just talk about it as well. So let's jump into the first one. So not using relevant keywords and not updating your keywords over time. So the thing about keywords, it's probably the basis and a good foundation to your listing. So if you haven't done this well from the start, it's really going to impact everything else that comes behind that. So you can have beautiful images and all those things, but if your product can't be found, then people are not going to have their eyeballs on your listing and then you're not going to get sold. So having relevant keywords is going to help the algorithm and for people when they're shopping to find your product. So that's probably the number one thing that people, either they do a really good job at the start and then they never do it later, or they haven't done a really good job at the start and that impacts them and they're thinking, I've got this lovely listing and it looks nice visually, but from a keyword point of view, it hasn't been optimized. So this is something that it's worth spending some time to do. It's not the quickest thing to do. So it's not a 5-second job that you can just quickly go in. It will take you some time to mine through that data and have a look. But the point about over time, updating keywords over time is really important because what I do see with a lot of clients is that they've had established listings, they're doing quite well, and it's how do we take them to the next level? So that's always the question of how do we actually boost you to the next level? And a big part of that is when I say, so have you looked at any more relevant keyword research recently? They'll usually say, no. I spent all this time doing it at the start. I haven't done any since. I wouldn't really know what's going on in that space. And it's that setting and forgetting, which you don't want to do. So a really good way just to kind of ease your way back into this, if it's not really your exciting thing. I know some people, they're very analytical or they're very creative. So if you're the creative side, this might not excite you, but to get you to ease your way back in, a great way to start this off would be to just come into Amazon, and you can see on the image up the top there, having a look at some of the general terms that are coming up when you're putting your main keyword in. So simply typing your main keyword in and seeing what comes up underneath that. And that gives you some ideas, and you can then go back to your listing to see, have I got those all in my keyword research, in my keywords in my listing. So your title, your bullet points, your description, your A+ content, and also in the back end. So the other little image you can see there, that's the back end of the listing. And so that's talking about the intended use, target audience, subject matters, search terms. Now, we'll point out one thing with that now, because someone might bring this up, is that not everyone's listings in the back end show all those options anymore. Some of them have disappeared for some people, and they can only put search terms in and they can't put other parts in. So it's worth having a look, but making sure all those areas have been filled out. But really coming back to doing more keyword research to make sure your listing is fully optimized. So we'll move on to the second point here, if there's no questions. So Megla, shout out if anyone has anything there. So the next point is...
We're good. Let's keep
going.
We're
all good? Okay, great. Yeah. So the second one is not using all the relevant and available spaces to optimize your listing. And this is a huge one, and I see it all the time. So the best way for you to figure out, have I used all the relevant spaces, is to go into the back end of your listing and edit it and have a look. You will see these tabs that come up. Now, the thing to remember is not every single option needs to be filled out. So I'll say that first. So just in case you go in there and you're thinking there's quite a few bits that aren't filled in, should I have filled in every single space? No. If it's not relevant to your product, you don't have to fill it in. So there might be things about compliance and batteries, and your product might not have that, so you can leave that alone. That's only if it's relevant for you. But what you want to do is you want to come through and look at every single tab, starting from the left, the vital information, so where your title is, all of that information in there, and work your way all the way along. But the main one that I see most people forget about is the last tab, that more details tab. And that actually lets you put in information like, where was the product produced? How do you use the product? If there was an ingredients list, it has all those kinds of details. And it also has information about the size of the product, all of that kind of good stuff. For every category, it can be slightly different. So if someone was to show me one product in the gardening and they've listed their product, and I come and look in the back end in the more details, it might look totally different to someone that's selling the grocery area. So they can have different fields, but what you really want to do is go in and make sure, have I filled in everything that's relevant that I can possibly fill in? And if you don't have something in there that you should, enter it and save it. So that's a really good takeaway to go do straight after this, is to make sure that you fill in as much information as possible, and that's going to really help you get found. So it's giving the system more information about your product. So if anyone hasn't done that, definitely do it, because it's a really big one, not filling in the valid space that they've got. The other thing to think about here is, have you maximized things like your title, your bullet points, your description? Have you used the available space that's there, you know, or do you have a very, very short title where you've actually got more characters you could be filling in? You could put more keywords in there, but you haven't. That's another one that I see quite often. It's very short titles, and that's a number one place to go and put more keywords in. So have a think about what you could add to your listing and what's available to you. So do we have any questions on that one, Megla, or we'll jump into the...
Well, yeah, there's one question. Yeah. So Carlun McLean is asking, I find with some products, Amazon won't let you update the title once you've set it up.
Yes, that does happen. There's a few things like that. If you decide that, oh, I've put in the wrong brand or manufacturing name, things like that, you'll often see it comes up like an error. And it's one of those things you see and think, no, please don't do this to me, because you just want to update it. First thing to try is to go to seller support and request the change. Now, if you're brand registered, you really want to be, because that way you can say, I'm the brand owner. I would like this title to be updated to be relevant and reflect the changes that I'm making, and request that. Now, if you get a lot of pushback and they don't want to change it, and that can happen, that is when you need to look at doing a flat file to override the system. So that would mean that you are entering your new title in, and you're going to do a partial update so the system knows there's been a change. But yes, it is true. So you kind of want to try and get the right title in to start with, but obviously as we go along, we optimize, we make those changes. So you will be able to change it. It might just take a few more steps if the system doesn't want to allow you to do it at the start. Does that answer correctly?
Yes.
All right, so we'll jump into the third one. So a little bit more creative for people. And this is not using infographics on your visual design elements, such as your images and your A+ content. So And this is another one that I know people have said in the groups that I've been on, you know, what are infographics? What are you talking about with infographics? I've done all these beautiful photos and everything. And so what's happening here is that you can take your photos and enhance them. So I've put 4 examples here, and if you go and search around Amazon, you'll find a lot. So go and look at some of your top competitors, see what they're doing to get some ideas here. And if you're not doing this, this is really important that you add this in. And what this is doing is that you're not just simply putting a visual representation. I often see the main common mistake I see is people putting the same image like 5 times. So they've just turned the image, put it on a different angle, and that's not helping anyone. If you're buying online, you want to really see what does the lid look like? What does the side look? What's the material? What does it look like if it was in somebody's hand in terms of the size of it? All those sort of features people really want to find out. So adding infographics is going to allow you to tell the customer more information about the product and point out some of those features as well. So we can see the candle making one, they've said, you know, all the things that are going to be included, and they've even shown little images of how that's going to look when you're actually doing it. So really simple, very clean, beautiful. You don't have to go over the top with this. Be very simple messaging. And that's the same with the spray, the hairspray. Very, very clean and simple. You know, you don't have to go over the top. It can be just very simple messaging. And then we've got ones like the coffee, Italian coffee maker. So a lot more information, but they're really wanting to point out those details about it. And I would note with that is that they're very branded. So we're actually going to look at that listing in a minute, but they've kept it all on brand. So they've tried to keep, you can see like the little, hopefully you can see my arrow, this little infographic in the bottom right-hand corner here. It's really on brand with their logo when you have a look at their listing. So and they're talking about all those features. They're saying, you know, you can use it on gas stoves, electric stoves, camping stoves, but don't use it on an induction stove. So it can be just important to tell a customer what not to do with the product as it can be to what to do with it. So you sometimes do want to point out what not to do so you don't get those customer returns. So you're really trying to answer a lot of questions visually for someone coming along and buying, because we know that the bullet points are going to be keyword rich. They should be if they're not, but your images are where people are going to really go to come in and have a good look around. It's much easier for us to visually look at something and say, yes, that's what I'm wanting. But if your keywords aren't done really well in the listing, you're not going to get found in the first place for someone to visually come and have a look. So if you haven't got infographics done, it's definitely something you need to go and do. All the really good listings will have it. So it's worthwhile spending some time pointing out your main features. And another way to think about doing this would be to look at what your bullet points are, what each bullet point fact really is telling you, and line that up with your images. So if you've got a bullet that's about the instructions of using it, you put an image that's instructions to use it. So that's a really simple guide for you to follow. That's just a nice way to explain it to people if you think, where do I start? Follow what your bullet points say and bring that message to be visual on your images. So do we have any questions on that one?
We do have a couple of questions, and I'm just going to remove your slides for a minute because these questions are a bit long. So yeah, how do you balance using up all the characters, especially for bullet points, and readability for consumers so there's not just big blocks of text?
So how do you balance using the characters? Okay, so first one is don't go and try and say the whole bullet point in an image. That's something that I see people say, but I've got so much to tell the customer. How do I get it all in there? So you really want to break it down. Think about things like icons. Can you use little infographic icons to represent what you're trying to say? Keep it very short and sharp. I sometimes say to clients, you have the chance to put one short sentence in there and that would be all. But even then, try to minimize the amount of text. So keep it really, really simple. Don't be putting big blocks of text. That's not going to help. No one's going to sit and read that. So this is thinking about visually, how do I represent this information across to those images? So hopefully that answers it. If you've got one me to talk about that a little bit more. Also,
yeah,
when you can
another
put
one.
Fields in the back end, might that restrict the customers? it doesn't restrict your customers to find a product in any way. In fact, it's going to make sure that your product comes up in front of people that are shopping for that kind of product. So you really don't want your products to be showing in front of people that are not really looking for your product. It's not going to help you at all. So actually filling in those back end information is saying to the system, this is who this product is actually for. This is who's going to buy it. So she said, you select women. Okay, so if you were selecting that it's like gender, well, then you need to make sure that you filled in that back end so that you have put that correct information, that it's not just for a woman, that it is unisex, something like that. So make sure you're really descriptive about the product and who it's for. And this is something to test. So always test that back end. Don't just put it in and go, okay, I've done it, so it should be optimized. This is all about testing the system. So hopefully that helps with answering that as well. And then do we have any other?
No, those are the only two that we had. Okay, so I lost your slides again. Do you want to just?
That's okay. I think I turned it off. So let me go back in.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. All right, so can we see that? Hopefully we can see that again.
Yes.
And let's just jump into the next one. So this one's probably an obvious one that a lot of people probably hear especially when they're learning Amazon and copywriting and all of that kind of thing, is don't keyword stuff. But it's just actually amazing how many people do it in a way that they don't really realize. Now, this is an extreme example of keyword stuffing. So literally just word after word after word is the main keywords of that product. But Amazon's all about readability. So this is actually not going to help you at all. It's not going to help you with your ranking and things like that. So especially with a title, when you are putting your keywords in, you want to be able to read it properly. You don't just want to have like words along. You want to explain what that product actually is. So start with your brand name and then move on to the main, say, keyword, and write it in a way that would make sense. People go, yes, that is exactly what I'm wanting. So people often do it where they start with a brand name, they put a main keyword, and then somewhere along as they kind of keep typing, they suddenly keyword stuff right at the end. That's a common thing I see, is that they start the title really well, and towards the end they start putting, organic cotton, swaddle blanket, and they just start like popping those keywords in because they think I haven't fitted it in anywhere. So you really want this to be written in a way that if you were thinking about putting it on a website, would you go and keyword stuff? No, you would go and write a beautiful title about your product. If you were going to write about your product on Facebook and put a comment up about your new product, you wouldn't go and just keyword stuff and go, here you go. You really would say, talk about how beautiful it is and really explain in that title what your product is about, what's included, is it black, what's the size, what's the color, what's it made of, who your brand is, what are those main keywords that make sense in that title. So do not keyword stuff. And like I said, people have kind of gone away from this extreme keyword stuffing, but then they are doing it, like I explained, where at the end they just put keyword after keyword after keyword, and that's not helpful. So go and have a look at your title, and if you think that you're doing that, you really need to take your title apart and go back to looking at the readability. So does that read right to someone? And if there's people in the group that even you've connected with, get someone else to have a look at it. Get other people to read it and say, what do you think of this? That's a really good way to get some, positive feedback about what's happening with your listing. So they can say to you, well, I don't really know what color that is, or I don't, it can be a really obvious thing that we haven't thought of ourselves. So if you know someone in the group that you can connect with, it's definitely a good exercise. But yes, as I said, do not keyword stuff. It is not going to help you in any way possible. So I think that one's a pretty obvious one.
We have one question from Kelly.
Yes. Sure.
We're not supposed to use dashes and the bar in the title, but so many people use them. Should we or shouldn't we?
Do you know what? You can. That would be my take on that. I would always say put a dash, or there's a line or a comma. So there are people that say, no, you should put commas in, don't put anything else in. And to be honest, when I've tested listings, it has no difference. There's no problem with it. I've never seen a listing get taken down because of that either. So that's been my experience. And to be honest, when you put dashes in, it's actually much easier to read it. It's actually quite hard to read a title with just a comma. It sort of all blends. Whereas when you put a dash, it can be very obvious that that's a separation of what you're talking about. So for instance, at the end, you might want to say what the color and the size is, or it's a pack of 2 or something like that. And you've separated that off by putting a dash. So I've always written them with dashes, but it is also something that you could test. So it could be worth you taking a title for 2 weeks, testing it with say a comma, and then 2 weeks with a dash, something like that. But to be honest, I've always felt that it's better to have it in there, a dash or a line, so that you can read it better.
Right.
So hopefully that answers that.
So Kelly's saying, awesome, love dashes. She has another question.
Yes.
I wanted to put a quote in my bullet point. Is it allowed?
A quote. So if it's any type of symbol, no, don't put any symbols if that's what that is. Don't put any type of symbol in. So another one I see is like the copyright symbol, things like that. Don't put any of those in. They don't rank. Do not get rid of them. In fact, sometimes I've had it where someone did that and then the listing became inactive while we had to update that because they had put that in. So no, do not put any type of symbol like that in. So hopefully that answers that question.
Okay. Yep. That's
right,
good.
perfect. Okay.
Kevin, is your mic working now, Kevin? No, it's not. We can't hear you. But it's not working. But I can hear like a fan sound behind it.
Yeah, I can hear that as well.
Verity, can you hear that too?
Yes, I can
like
hear
a
that as
fan.
well.
Yeah. But Kevin, can you hear us?
Oh no.
Can you hear us? No? Yeah. Oh, you can hear us. Okay.
Okay. As long as you can hear us, then it's okay.
Yeah. But very strange. Yeah, I think there's a problem with your mic. I think you need to mute yourself because we can just hear this whirring sound behind you.
It's not too loud though, so it's all good.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay. We'll jump into the 5th one. Now, some of you that would have seen this actually in the Monday Musing, but I really wanted to put it up to get this across to people that might not have seen that post or missed that. There is actually a little video I did for this, so go and have a look in the group for Monday Musing, have a read of it, and there's a little video of me actually showing you what it looks like to view listings on mobile. And I want to bring this up because it's really the thing that's forgotten, and I can say that I've been that person that's forgotten to check this. So I always make it a point to, when I'm working on any kind of listing, to actually have time to go and look at the mobile. And the reason you want to do this is that we know that mobile shopping is becoming increasingly popular, and currently it's still more popular for people to purchase via their desktop, but we know that mobile year on year is getting higher and higher and higher. So we really don't want to exclude those that are shopping on a mobile if our listing's not really optimized for them to have a look at. And what I mean by that is that the formatting on a mobile is actually really different to a desktop. Most of you will be building your listings on a desktop computer. So unless you're doing it on a mobile, hands up to you, because I couldn't do that. But most people will be looking at it on a desktop. And so you know how beautiful it looks and you know the layout really well. Most people don't know what the layout of a mobile looks like, and it's quite different. So you'll find that things like your bullet points come way, way down the page. You've actually got to scroll quite far down to find it. The other one is that if you have A+ design, the trick with A+ design is that when you've put it in, it templates it for you. So when you're designing it, you can pick the templates and you think, yes, this is great, it's simple, I can load my images, put my text in. But then, and you think it looks lovely when you look at the preview. But what you'll find that on mobile, because it's squishing it all in, it formats it all wrong. And sometimes you can see things and it doesn't look right. So that, say you put a text box in your A+, and then the text box is down below all the little images, and you think that was meant to go underneath the image, and it doesn't really make any sense. And so it doesn't look correct. So it's really important that you actually go and have a look on your mobile to see how is that formatting. are your images showing where they're big enough, especially with the infographics one? So if you've put teeny tiny infographics, which is not a good idea, it needs to be really clear and precise. If you put tiny little icons, imagine looking on your phone, you'd have to try and like zoom in and all of that. So that might make you think, okay, I really need to go and update these images so that whoever's buying on mobile isn't going to see this and think that looks terrible, I'm going to go and look at someone else's listing. You really want to win those sales from those customers that are shopping on mobile. So it's looking at the order of the information, the formatting, how does that read to someone? And I do want to point out, if you've gone and looked at that post, I was talking to someone about this particular thing and we had a look and she said to me, I've looked at all my competitors and I can't see any of the product details, and your product details is what's that last tab in the edit button on the back end of your listing. And that sits really up high compared to looking at your listing. It usually sits sort of a little bit lower and you kind of miss it on a desktop. But on a mobile, it's really obvious. And so a lot of people come in and say, oh yes, it is this, this, and this. That's what I'm looking for, I'll buy. So you want to make sure you've got that information in there. And she said to me that when she went and looked at all her main competitors, she couldn't find anyone with the details. So I said, show me what's happening. Let's have a look at the listings and we'll see what's going on. But actually, in fact, nearly all the competitors didn't have any details. They hadn't entered any details in the back end of their listing at all. So this was a great chance for her to go in and go, yeah, okay, I'll update that my details area. I'll make sure that I've optimized that section of my listing so that anyone on mobile, when they come to my listing, they're going to see that information. And unlike all the competitors. So it can be those little wins that come across that you find. So it's looking for those little updates, little tweaks. And the thing about optimization, it doesn't have to be a full optimization. So you don't have to come in thinking, oh, I'm going to have to optimize our listing, I'm going to have to change everything. It can just be tweaking something, adding a keyword, adding the details in so it looks right, making sure your mobile looks correct. Can be all those things and checking off that list to make sure you've done all of that. So I really wanted to share that one again because it is one that we just don't think about, even though we're actually on our mobiles a lot. We, as sellers, we don't think about checking what our listings look like on mobile. So are there any questions on that one as well? Oh, hopefully we can still hear me.
No questions so far on that one. I was muted.
I was thinking, oh no, I dropped off.
So do you have any more slides or is that okay? Cool.
So that's all the slides, but I did think if we've got time, it would be good to show you very, very quickly some good and some bad. Well, I say bad. There's not really any bad listings. I just sort of think that they're poor listings, and that if you come across a poor listing or your listing's in that category, that is a great chance for you to optimize it. So you're actually in a really good position to go, I can win over the competition by optimizing my listing. So it's not always a bad listing. But I do want to show you two comparisons just to kind of get your mindset into what looks really optimized and what doesn't. So I think we've got a question here before we jump in.
So Sastra asking, how often should sellers tweak the listing? Any festives keyword like such as Valentine, etc.? Yeah, and this is another question that I had seen in the group previously as well. Yeah. So if, for example, someone is selling a Christmas-related product, right?
Yes.
So after Christmas, is it okay to remove those Christmas-related keywords from the title and the description and make it more generic, like position it as a gift item or a Valentine's Day item, something like that? Is that okay to do as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll hear me say this so much, but it's all about testing. So the thing would be is that don't try to make too many changes at once. That's the first tip, is that don't try and change your title, your bullet points, your images all in one go, because you then don't know what's affected the listing for it to be improved. Or if you make a change and it doesn't do as well, you then go, what did I do that's affected this? So it can go two ways, right? So we really want to look at the metrics and be looking at the reporting. So don't do it all at once. Don't do it too often in terms of if you are working, say, just on one area, your title, don't try and change it every day or something like that. Don't try and change it every week. You need to give it time. you need to give the algorithm time for it to seep in. And then on your point, Megla, about if it, say, was a Christmas item, then definitely if it's a festive thing, so Valentine's, Christmas, all those sorts of things, yes, come in and tweak and see how that goes. Because if you, especially for Christmas, obviously, you know, you're going to see it's going to be seasonal and you're going to have a big drop off. So you might decide that it's a Christmas tree, but actually it could be a decorative, you know, for your house, like a plant or something. Like it could fit into two ways. You could look at it differently. Don't have an example of that, but if we looked at it like that, then yes, definitely you can come in, tweak those back end keywords as well. Look at where, you know, have you put in keywords that you want to have removed? Maybe you keep the Christmas keywords in the back end, but you start to update the front end, things like that. But it's all about testing that to see what happens. So as you go on and your listing gets older and older, we love seasoned listings because we can look back over time. And the hardest thing as a new seller is you don't have that data. So for instance, you might get to Christmas time and you don't know what happened last Christmas for a comparison. But if you have a seasonal listing, go back, spend some time looking at, especially for seasonal things, what was happening at that time last year. Have a look where the metrics were. So when you make those changes, you get a comparison to what changes you're making coming up. But yes, you can make those changes, but don't do too many at once. That would be my big thing, because you don't know what those changes, how they've affected the listing.
Right. So Kelly's saying, I missed the first point. Maybe this was mentioned, but when I put up my listing, I was unable to change the title. Once the listing goes live, does that change?
So when I put up my listing, I was unable to change the title. You should have been able to enter your title. So was that, I'm assuming that's before the listing has gone live and you're working on it in the back end, that you weren't able to change the title. You should have been. So that's something I would check with seller support if there's an issue there. I have not seen that before. So you should be able to change it. In fact, before the listing goes live, it's the easiest time to make as many changes as you want. The thing that we do see is often when a listing has been up for a while, Amazon starts to say, oh, I don't want you to change it all the time. And you've got to actually go and get them to make the changes themselves. But once the listing goes live, does this change? Well, it shouldn't be happening in the first place. So I would definitely be contacting seller support to find out why that's happening, because you should be able to change it at that point. So hopefully that helps, Kelly.
And after a listing is live, can you still change the title?
Yeah.
Or can you just make small changes?
Yeah, so you can change nearly everything. There are some small things like you can't change your SKU after you've created a listing, things like that. But you should be able to change it. There are some listings that I have seen where there are information that is sort of locked, where you go to change it and it will say in red writing underneath, I'm sorry, you can't make this change. And that is something where you've got to speak to seller support and say, I'm the brand owner, if you're brand registered, please make this update. And otherwise, if that's not working, you need to implement a flat file. But I think for what Kelly's saying, there might be an error with the listing if she's not able to change that title. So hopefully you can get that one sorted with seller support. So were there any other?
I had to make a whole new listing.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And Kelly, were you able to, did you get the listing to be live for the one that wasn't working? Did it ever go live, or did you just start again? So she can see her message.
Yeah. I contacted them many times.
I would say that if this was me, I would be going down the flat file route, that there could be some issues. I did see someone the other day in another forum saying they had lots of problems. What do they do? And we all said you need to get a flat file. Okay, it didn't get to live. I'd say that there's an error in the system, and it does happen. It actually does happen. I mean, I've seen, I'm sure Margaret and Kevin have seen these like bizarre things that happen on Amazon for no reason, and it can be an Amazon's internal issue with a listing. I have had clients where we've really had to scrap a listing and start again because things would not fix themselves. She tried to flat file. Okay, so I would say it's probably an internal thing, and starting a new listing was probably the quickest and easiest way. So Kelly, the new listing that you started, did it work for you, or have you still got problems with that one? Hopefully that will round up.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the problem is if you're not brand registered. I've found a lot of people can't change their listing until they are brand registered. You have to basically send an email with a photo of your website and all that every time you want to change a word. So that's the benefit of being brand registered from the start. I think it makes life easier.
Way to go. it's worth the money and effort to have that simplified. So hopefully, Kelly, that kind of helps you, and hopefully that new listing that you've got has fixed. But from what you're saying, it sounds like it could be an error. I have a parent-child listing, 2 children. I changed the heading last night on the parent. It's gone through and updated the children, but my manage inventory tab is. Okay, let me just divulge that question. So we've got the child listings, and it's updated the parent, and it's updated as live. But my manage inventory, okay. So are you telling me that when you go into the inventory tab, you can still see the old title when you're like looking at your listings in the viewing area? But are they updated on the live listing on the front end? That's probably what I need to know. And yes, that can happen. So hopefully I'm understanding this right. What can happen is this happens often with images, where say you've updated an image, and when you're on the inventory tab, you can see an old image of your product, but when you go to the live listing, it's the new image. That's probably a really easy way to explain that, and that does happen. Again, that's a okay, yes. So okay. Okay, Claire. So yes, that can happen. So as long as it's live on the sales page for the customer, then it's all good. It's sort of Amazon slow at realizing that it's an internal thing, whether or not it needs to update it. But if it's showing to the customer, it's all good. Usually over time, it will just update itself. But yeah, usually see it with the images. Well, visually, it's really obvious. But yeah, it can happen with titles. So as long as it's showing, you're all good to go. So are there any other questions? And I think we'll see. Oh, here we go. I'm
waiting for them to approve my brand registry. You need to ASIN first. Yeah. Yeah.
So once you get brand registry, fingers crossed, it's all good. And yeah, you're all good, Claire. You're all good. You don't have to panic at all. But yeah, if you get brand registry, it will really make your life easier. Otherwise, you're just sort of fighting. And like what Margaret just said, you have to usually send a website. They want photos of your packaging. They want photos of the barcode. They even sometimes do that when you're brand registered. But when you are brand registered, it's just so much easier. And what I would suggest is when you then send a ticket and you request this ticket is for the brand registry team. They are kind of a high level team at seller support, and they'll usually offer you more help. So anyone that's got problems with brand registry stuff, request the brand registry team have a look at it. So Negla, do we have any time to have a look at any live listings?
Let's spend a couple of minutes looking at listings, because I think that is interesting. Yeah. I mean, we're over time now. It's we've been going for 1 hour 10 minutes, so let's just do it quickly.
Okay. And then I was worried I wouldn't have enough to say, but obviously we did. It's never a problem. Okay, so let's just quickly, we'll just do a scan of it to kind of get people in the mindset of what a good and a poor listing kind of looks at like, and you should sort of know some of this. Whoops, now my computer is being a little bit slow, so hopefully, there we go. Hopefully it's catching up. Oh, no, we've lost it. Okay, 2 seconds. We'll jump to this other tab while we look at that. So this tab is of a listing that's quite poor. So what we want to do is we want to scan the whole listing, and we're looking from the top to the bottom, noticing what is on the scrolling page, as well as if you're looking on mobile, look at the order. So this is sitting up the top before I've scrolled down. These are all the main things I can see. And so when someone comes in, they sometimes don't even scroll down your page. So be aware of that. So things like the images and the title, we can just see the bullet points. We can see some of the details sitting here. It's really important that those things are optimized. Now, we've got a very, very short title that doesn't really tell us a lot of what this product is. We can see that it's obviously been around a while. It's got quite a lot of reviews. And we've only got 3 images, so haven't even filled all the image spaces. So that's a no-no. Make sure you filled all the image spaces. We don't have any infographics. They're not exactly inspiring me to buy. So you've kind of got to look at it and think, what would you think? Would you think that this product's cheap because it's not showing any kind of quality? We don't really know much about it. Very short title that could be optimized. They have got this in there, so that's helpful. Things like the capacity, so that is good. Really bad bullet points, very, very short. very hard to sort of read what's going on. They could have a heading which would be capitals or in brackets to read it. There's a lot of information and keywords that they could have added in here and they haven't. So they would be missing a lot of keywords in there. So really poor bullets. We don't have a price on that one at the moment, so we can't really comment on that. We obviously, this is the problem, is that as people come down, they think, oh, that looks nice, and they're going to click on that if your listing's not very good. So, be aware of that. This is their description. It's, again, not inspiring me to buy, and it's very hard to read. So if you're not brand registered, you only have the option to put a text description, and that's absolutely fine. There's no problem with that. But I would say you need to do HTML coding. So really, you can just Google HTML coding and you can write it in, and it allows you to bold or put bullet points and things like that. But it's very, very difficult to read. And when we look at the other example, we'll see how much of a difference it makes to have that. So it's not, if I really wanted to know what was going on with this product, there's not much information. I'm like, how do you use this? What's going on with it? There's only limited information I can find. So it's not particularly great. It's definitely not optimized.
So in the description, Verity, is it within TOS to use HTML codes?
Yes.
Is it within TOS to do bullet points, bold? Okay.
No.
Yes.
Just in the back. In the product description only.
Yes, it's only in the product description, in the back end.
Okay.
And you just want to test it to see that it actually formats right. It just allows the reader to see it really easily, what's being written and what's going on. But the one thing to remember is that, and I see people do this all the time, is they have these beautiful descriptions, and then as they write them, they haven't allowed for the HTML being part of those characters, and so then they run out of room. And they've got to cut the title of their description off because they didn't have enough space. So just remember to allow some space for that, and have a look at, make sure you're really answering questions that the customer would have, not just putting random information that's not important. Really make sure that it explains what is it, what are the features and benefits and things like that. So we can see that has a lot of improvement, but if that was a client of mine, I'd be like, this is great. We can do so much with this listing. There is so many things we could do to improve this, and you would definitely see those improvements. So that would be the really good thing about that listing. And then if we come across to a very optimized listing, so the complete other extreme, we're really going to start to see the difference. So firstly, we haven't even scrolled and we can see, wow, the title's got a lot going on for it. There would be some things here, like they've not got a capital. They should have all capitals there. I would test putting this at the bottom so I could see that. It's kind of lost in there, and that's probably a main point considering they've got variations. So saying that this is the black one, it probably would be better to have it at the bottom or somewhere else to test what effect that has. But they've done quite well there. And obviously I haven't done any keyword research on this, so I don't know if they're missing keywords, but they've really worked on that. And then we look at their beautiful images. So just me scrolling across, this is a great image, by the way. A comparison chart is very, very effective. We can see the size, someone's hand, so the perspective. This is amazing. Like I said earlier, I had that as one of the infographic images, what to not do and to do. So do not use it on induction. It's not going to work, but use it on all these other ones. And how to use it. So I actually got given one of these and I had no idea what to do with it. So I found so hard on how do I set this thing up? It's really, really easy. And they are great, by the way. But, this answers a lot of questions. If I went to that other one and then I saw this, who are you going to buy from? It's really, really obvious. You're going to go, I know what to do with it. I know the quality. I can see it in multiple ways. They've got lots of photos, lots of angles. They've put video, so they've optimized video. They've got variations, so colors and size. They've added all their details. They've really put in big bullet points. Now, some people might say those bullet points are very large, and they are quite big. They're quite meaty sort of bullet points. And this would really, my take on this is if you've got a very technical item that needs to be explained a lot, and that can be things like medical things like that, then you might want bigger bullet points to really explain, because people are going to come and seek that information. If your product's a little bit more simple, sometimes you don't need to expand so much, but make sure that all the keywords are optimized. And you can see here that they have put little brackets around. So they've done it so you can see this bullet point is talking about this topic. So really, really easy there. And as we scroll down, they have even turned it into a bundle. So they've used the bundle feature. And then their description looks a lot better. So we can see a bit of a difference to one line of text we could barely read to their visual representation of their brand, which looks beautiful. They've used all these different images. They've even put different ideas here. They've reused this so it really gets that point across, and they have cross-promoted. So I can click on these other items that are on their, that are part of their brand, they're selling, and I can click through. So they've made the most of every single section. So for someone like this, and if that was your kind of listing, then I would be saying, okay, we need to try to take it up a level, and this is where we want to test things. So, you know, they've got a pretty good price here as well. We could test sales items. We could test moving keywords around the title. We could look at altering some of these keywords. We could test this main image to see, should we test it with a different kind of angle, see if that's better. You know, all those kinds of things are things that we can start testing. So I just wanted to kind of show you that as a really good example of a good and a bad listing, or a poor listing, as I should say. To give you some ideas of what that looks like, to inspire you to go out and say, yes, I need to optimize my listing, and know that even if you've got a really good listing, you can still optimize it and test it. And if you've got a really poor listing, there's all this great stuff you can do. So that's probably, sometimes I love clients that have poor listings, because I think, yes, we can really get into this and improve it. And, you know, that's really exciting for those people that are in that position. But like I said, if you've got a good listing, you can also do a lot to improve that. So don't leave money on the table by not optimizing it. You can actually be profiting a lot more by testing those things. So hopefully that's helpful.
That was great.
That was great, Verity. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin, we can hear you now, Kevin.
Yeah. You're back, Kevin.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's good today. We've had two very special guests who, you know, both subjects a bit about leaving money on the table, and, you know, like, good. It's great. I mean,
thanks, Kevin.
You know, we do both religiously.
Yeah.
So guys, if you have any questions for Verity, type them in the comments now. And Verity, do you also want to talk about your workshop that's coming up
Yes,
in a couple of days now? Oh my gosh. I'm so excited about it.
Come around quickly.
Really looking forward to it. Yeah. So do you want to talk a little bit about, go ahead.
Sure. We'll just jump into talking about it. So if you haven't had a look and you don't know what we're talking about, if you go onto the Asian Seller, you'll see the whole outline of what we're going to be covering on each day. We're going to be doing a live workshop. So we'll be interactive. You can ask questions, all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be over 2 weeks. So we're going to have it on one Saturday, and then the following Saturday, depending on where you are in the world, could be slightly different for you. There's the different time zones on there. And we're going to be basically taking apart every single element of a listing and what you can optimize. So we're going to go step by step by step through every single element. We're going to be looking at things like how to build a keyword bank, a really useful tool that you can use even in your advertising later, and it helps you as you go along. We're going to be looking at your images and your A+, your copy, how to tweak that. We're going to be looking at a pricing strategy. So that's actually something that most people sort of forget about, but we will talk about how we work out what the sweet spot is. We're going to look at reviews, promotions. We're going to really take apart listings and go element by element for you to learn every aspect. And then that way you can either decide I need to update my whole listing and give it a whole makeover, or I just need to tweak little parts to it. And so the people that this is really for, if you're a newbie, you're going to get a lot of content from this where you can really start and have a foundation. And if you're an experienced seller, you're really going to have lots of those tips and remind you of that. So there's a lot of things about what we forget as seasoned sellers that we just kind of leave and we just move on and we go, yeah, I'm selling, it's all good, I don't need to check these things. So how do we improve it to really make it a world-class listing? So we're going to be covering all of that. So I'm really excited. It's going to be, I don't know exact times, Megla, but if you go and have a look, I know they're all different depending on where you all are. But we'll be starting Saturday. So if you want to join it, you want to jump in, there'll also be a Telegram group. So between the workshop, we will be able to have a chat and I can help you and interact with you. There we go.
Yeah.
And
so,
Verity, Megla, I think we've even put this on the Sourcing from India Facebook page too.
Yeah.
So
yes.
for people in the India sourcing page, jump in and you can join from there. And look, it'll be worth every penny, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of value from this.
Yeah. A lot.
Yeah, no, and I think for people who, even if you've got a listing now and you think it's okay and you don't want to spend, a couple of $100, if you just improve your listing by one sale a day, and I guarantee you if you follow Verity's steps, you'll probably improve it by 4 or 5, you'll pay for it trifold over the year. So I think, look, I had somebody come to me last week and said, I can only sell 10 units and I'm not making any money. And I sort of went, is your listing optimised? I don't know. If you've got infographics, what are they? Well, there's your starting spot, if you get those things done. So his product is probably going to be fantastic if he does the next steps. So, and I think they're the things that people just don't understand the importance of, those images, the keywords. And, if you don't have, because I have so many people come to me and say, I've optimised my listing. I'll say, did you use Helium 10? No, I don't want to pay for that. Well, I don't know how you can optimise a listing and find the keywords if you don't have a tool to do it. I mean, it's no good just looking at other people's listing and thinking, he's got that in there, I'm going to do it. And that's what they've been doing. So I think people, you've got to bite the bullet here. You're in a business, you've got to, get some tools, and you've got to get, like, if you spend this $200, if you can't get your money back, there's something wrong, because to me, it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So these are the timings if you're joining from the US. It's Friday evening, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time. And if you're joining from Europe, Australia, or Asia, then these are the timings. So Saturday morning, 6th February and 13th February. And we already have the Telegram group, and people have joined the Telegram group, and we're going to soon start, engaging over there, and Verity's joined in there as well. So I think half of the value of this sort of a workshop is in the engagement and being able to ask questions directly to Verity inside of the Telegram group, because, each person is different. You may have different issues with your listings. And if you can go in there and ask Verity, a specific question that you're struggling with or you need help with, I think that is super, super valuable. So check it out. The website URL is theasianseller.com/listing/workshop. And we look forward to seeing you over there.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be great. Yeah, I think there's a lot of value. There's a lot going on in it. And you'll really be able to walk away with step-by-step how to optimize a listing in every single aspect of that. I probably over-delivered.
Yes.
Cover it for everyone. But yeah, because it's interactive, we will also be looking at some people's live listings. So if you're someone that thinks, I really like someone to have a look at it, and you're happy to share with the group, we're going to request to have a look at some live listings of people, and we can discuss that and work out what are some of those things you could start to implement and work out. So if that's for you, definitely sign up, and we'll see you all on Saturday.
Yeah, sounds great.
And also, there's a week between day 1 and day 2, and you'll be giving homework to people, right? So they'll be able to go and implement what they've learned.
I promise it's really helpful for you, and it'll be good fun. I think we're going to have a really good time together to work through all of this work. And then I think the Telegram group, there's a lot of value in that in terms of talking to other people. You could ask others to have a look and review your own listings and all that kind of good stuff to connect with each other. So there'll be a lot of value added there as well.
Awesome. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us today. And we hope to see you at the workshop this Friday or Saturday. And we'll see you next week for another Webinar Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Okay,
bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.